Welcome back to AI Solutions, the pathway to profit. For the past few episodes, we've been laser focused on the bottom line, and that's critical. But today, we're changing gears entirely. We're shifting the focus from pure profit to profound purpose. This is episode 5, AI for Good, a practical guide for nonprofits and charities. Look, I've spent enough time with nonprofits to know that passion is never the issue. The issue is always resources. So what I'm going to do today is show you how even the most budget-conscious shoestring operation organizations can leverage AI to amplify their impact and drive meaningful change. The idea that this tech is only for corporate giants is frankly bullshit. We're going to prove that today. So, the first thing I hear almost every time is that objection: AI is for big tech, not for us. We can't afford it. Let's just go ahead and bust that myth right now. What I like to do is start by pointing out the incredible resources already built for you. You might find that organizations like Microsoft, with their AI for Good Lab, or the Google for Nonprofits program, offer a massive leg up with free or heavily discounted tools. Then you have the entire world of open source models, which are community built and free to adapt. The landscape has totally changed. The biggest investment you'll make isn't cash. It's dedicating the time to think strategically about where a specific tool can solve a specific problem. It's about smart application, not a big budget. All right, let's get right to the lifeblood of any nonprofit: fundraising and connecting with your donors. Think about the hours you pour into grant proposals or trying to personalize donor emails. What I like to see is organizations using simple generative AI as a brilliant co-pilot. You can feed it your mission details and past successful letters and ask it to draft a compelling new grant application. It gives you an incredible first draft to refine. You might find this works even better for donor outreach, allowing you to create genuinely personal thank you notes at a scale you could never manage manually. But the real game changer is finding the signal in the noise. This is where predictive analytics comes in. Instead of guessing, you can have an AI analyze your entire donor database: every past gift, every event attended, every email opened. It finds the patterns and flags the individuals most likely to become your next major donor, telling you exactly who to focus your energy on. Now, let's move beyond fundraising and look at the engine room of your organization, your day-to-day operations. What I always say is every hour saved on admin is an hour more for your mission. So, what I like to see is nonprofits using AI to claw back that time. Think about your general email inbox. You might find that a simple AI tool can sort inquiries and instantly reply to the top 10 most common questions. The same goes for managing volunteer schedules or automatically transcribing your meeting notes. Small wins that add up. A really powerful application I've seen work wonders is an AI-powered chatbot on your website. It handles all the basic FAQs around the clock, which frees up your incredible human staff to focus on the complex, sensitive conversations where their empathy is needed most. Okay, that's the theory, but let's make this real. Let's walk through a specific example. What I like to do is picture a small environmental charity, maybe a team of 5 people, trying to protect a massive remote forest. In the past, this was an impossible task, but now you might find they can use AI to analyze satellite imagery in near real time, The AI is trained to spot the subtle signs of illegal logging or to monitor the movement of an endangered herd across hundreds of square miles. It's like having 1,000 researchers in the sky working for you 24/7. But what I really like to see is when these groups move from just reacting to being proactive. They can feed an AI model weather patterns, humidity data, and vegetation dryness reports. The AI then learns to predict where a wildfire is most likely to break out, allowing that small team to focus their prevention efforts and get ahead of a disaster before it ever starts. Okay, so you're doing amazing work. But here's a truth I've seen time and time again. Showing your impact is just as important as making it. What I like to see is organizations moving beyond simple numbers and into the rich human stories they collect. I'm talking about all those beneficiary testimonials, the open-ended survey feedback, the notes from the field. It's a goldmine of qualitative data, but it's impossible for a small team to manually analyze. This is where you might find AI to be an incredible storyteller. You can feed it thousands of written responses, and it will analyze them for sentiment and identify the key recurring themes. It pulls out the real human story from the data. Then, the magic step, it can automatically help generate compelling charts and draft sections of your impact reports, turning anecdotal evidence into a powerful, data-backed narrative for your donors and stakeholders. Now, this is a part of the journey where we need to tread carefully, because with all this power comes profound responsibility. What I always stress is that when you're handling sensitive information about the people you serve, data security is absolutely non-negotiable. You're not protecting data points. You're protecting dignity and safety. Then there's the risk of algorithmic bias. You might find that if your historical data has unconscious biases built into it, the AI will learn them and, worse, amplify them in its decisions. What I like to see is a non-negotiable commitment to keeping a human in the loop. The AI can analyze and suggest, but a person with empathy and context must always make the final call on critical decisions. This isn't about replacing judgment, it's about informing it, ensuring every action is fair, transparent, and ultimately humane. Let's pivot to another, even more high-stakes environment, humanitarian aid. What I like to see is how AI becomes a critical partner in the first hours after a disaster. Imagine an earthquake or a hurricane hits. The situation is pure chaos. You might find that instead of waiting days for reports, an AI can immediately begin analyzing thousands of social media posts and live drone footage. It's trained to recognize calls for help or identify damaged infrastructure, building a real-time map that points rescuers directly towards survivors. But finding people is only half the battle. What's truly game-changing is using AI to untangle the logistical nightmare that follows, analyzing blocked roads and local needs to optimize the supply chain. This ensures that food, clean water, and medicine get to the most critical areas faster, saving not just hours, but lives. So we've talked about the tools, the ethics, the logistics. But none of it matters without your people. This is where the real work begins, and it's less about code and more about culture. What I like to see is a focus on demystifying AI for everyone, from your core staff to your weekend volunteers. This means simple, accessible training that shows this isn't science fiction. It's just a new type of tool. Then you advocate for starting small. You don't try to solve world hunger on day one. Instead, you find one low-stakes pilot project. Maybe it's automating one email report. You do that to build confidence and show the value. What I find works best is fostering a culture of experimentation. It's about giving your team permission to try things, to learn, and to see what works for your specific mission. It's about progress, not perfection. Okay, I know this can all feel a bit abstract, so let's make it concrete. What I like to do is give people a simple 3-step action plan. You can literally start today. Step 1. Identify one single bottleneck. Just one. Don't try to solve everything. Is it the time it takes to draft donor thank you notes? Is it managing volunteer schedules? Just pick one major pain point. Step 2. Research. You might find that a quick search for AI tool for X, whatever your problem is, will give you one or two specific, low-cost options. We're not looking for a magic bullet, just a tool for the job. And finally, step 3, pilot. What I find works best is launching a small, time-bound test. For the next 2 weeks, we will use this tool for this one task. Give it a single, measurable goal. That's it. Identify, research, test. That's how you begin. So once you take those first steps, where does this path lead? What I like to do is zoom out and look at the truly incredible horizon. You might find that the real revolution is in democratizing expertise. You might find that the real revolution is in democratizing expertise. Imagine an AI-powered personal tutor, infinitely patient, available to every underserved student, adapting in real time to their unique way of learning. Or picture hyper-personalized mental health support bots, offering a safe, non-judgmental space to talk, anytime, anywhere. On a global scale, what I really like to see is the potential for coordinating responses to our biggest challenges, like climate change or pandemics. This is where AI could become the great equalizer, breaking down barriers and ensuring that world-class support and solutions aren't just for the privileged few. So as we bring this conversation to a close, what I like to do is just lock in the most important points. First, and I can't stress this enough, you might find that AI is far more accessible than you think. This isn't just for tech giants anymore. Second, it's a remarkably powerful tool for the things that matter most, supercharging your fundraising and claw and back precious hours from administrative tasks. And third, all of this must be built on a foundation of ethical diligence. What I always say is that we have to be thoughtful. The core message I want to leave you with is this: AI doesn't replace passion, it amplifies it. It takes the incredible work you're already doing and gives it a megaphone. This discussion about augmenting human effort leads us perfectly into our next episode. Join us next time for the human in the loop, augmenting, not replacing, your workforce. Thanks for listening.